Tubi got that flick game straight up out of left field. Cheesy B movies, all that drama unsealed. Chilling on my couch, popcorn in the bowl. Flicks so whack, they gon' steal your soul.
Close the beaches, we have Meth Gator. Welcome to To Be Decided, Episode 1. It's our very first niche episode where Adam and I invite one person to invade Tubi's B-movie film vault and shine a light on a film that lives in darkness. Tubi is a beautifully free streaming service that has a mix of HBO Max series, popular movies, and wild B movies, and also some failed shows. That's right, I have Highlander the animated series and Silent Hill the miniseries saved on my queue. But we're here for the cheese, and Tubi is a dairy farm. Whether it's an Asylum Pictures knockoff or a guy and his buddies with a camcorder, we find the wild and weird stuff no one is talking about and celebrate it. So today's episode is, drumroll, Meth Gator. So, before we talk about that movie, we have Adam, Mr. Cinema himself here.
Hello, that's me.
Yes. We have Ivy, Miss Werewolves and Vampires.
Hello, that is me. I'm back. I'm back, baby.
And I'm Mike, the man who can only afford the free stuff. So, awesome. I'm so glad. I've been so psyched to watch this. And Adam and I, we just did a Venom 3 review, but I want to talk about this movie way more.
I feel like this movie might be better than Venom 3. I haven't seen Venom 3, but I feel like this is better somehow. Am I correct in that?
It has some positives. I'm not going to totally dunk on this movie or Venom 3, but I think this movie gets things that Venom 3 can't get, and vice versa. So Ivy, what do you like to do? Are you on any other podcasts? Are you famous yet? I think you're
Actually, no, I haven't. The last time I was on a podcast was the last time I was on here. I actually listened to the first episode of this that I was on, like when I was like 18, like several years ago. And it was jarring how different I sounded. I sound like I'm like 10 years old. It's so weird.
Oh,
I love that.
That is weird.
I was shaking.
Now
COVID was not kind to all of us.
Yes, that is true.
Yes, now we all sound like we have smoker lungs, and I've seen some things.
4 years will do something to you, man.
Right. Well, it's so good to have you on, especially with your expertise.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Yeah,
yes.
I still watch all the horror movies and the 80s movies. I've started watching some anime now, which is something that I didn't watch back then. So I'm expanding my horizons a little bit. But yeah, I'm still all in on the cheesy horror.
You're watching anime? COVID has been tough to you, girl.
Right.
Okay.
Did a number.
Right. So it's great. It's great. Any episode you're on, it's going to be fun. So
thank you.
True.
For my icebreaker, can all of you name an animal and an addictive drug that you think would make a good movie, similar like Meth Gator?
I put a lot of thought into this, and I couldn't decide between two, so I'm going to drop both of them. I went down under with these. So we got Morphine Wallaby and my favorite, K2 Kangaroo.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Wow. Morphine Wallaby. How is that a threat? It's just an animal that like really is in a lot of comfort.
It's a very like slow burn. Like it's not a horror movie. It's just like a lot of shots of this wallaby just like laying down.
You actually feel bad for the wallaby.
Yeah. It's a drama. It's a sad drama.
Yes. Adam, how about you?
Man, all I could think of was just raccoons on PCP. As I just feel like, if you got like a little herd of raccoons all high on angel dust, that it's gonna be like Dawn of the Dead.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
That's true.
I went with the more hidden and subtle
Oh.
drugs. So, we got like nicotine possum.
What? All right.
He really wants nicotine and he'll kill. Yeah. So, check Tubi for all 3 of these movies.
Yes. In the next like 10 years, I'm sure they will all exist.
Well,
True.
let me lay down some movie facts. All right. So we got Meth Gator, or sometimes called Attack of the Meth Gator,
Mm.
directed by Christopher Ray. Its writers were Lauren Pritchard, Joe Roche, and Brett Taylor, and it stars Laurent Marzette, Ray Acevedo, and Vanessa Tamayo. And it has a 3.3 on IMDb.
Well deserved.
Some fun
Wow.
facts. It was inspired by a storyboard that was created as a joke on social media by Jim DeSantis after he read a news story about real gators being addicted to meth. The film was in development way before Cocaine Bear was announced.
Really? That's
Yeah.
surprising.
Yes, everyone, like, you automatically assume that this is like a spin-off, trying to
Right.
get some of that sweet Cocaine Bear pie.
Yeah.
But no, this was before Cocaine Bear. It's just a really big coincidence.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, and someone also wrote the Gator spent 3 months on meth, followed by 6 months in rehab to prepare for the role.
Wild.
Method acting.
That I believe.
Ah,
He learned from Jared Leto.
All right.
True.
So that's all the fun facts we need to know about the movie. Let's break it down. I have it scene by scene, and some of these are just hilarious choices that this movie's made. I don't have to tell anyone that this is about an alligator that takes meth. And the fact that if you played a drinking game where every time they said meth, you would be dead.
Yeah.
It's a word they just like to drop.
I also feel like
yeah.
one of the characters is named Bithlo, and I feel like they say that name so many times. They're like Bithlo, Bithlo. Like that would be drinking games.
Normalize Bithlo.
Yeah.
Right. So, right. So, the movie starts down with the police of Sweetwater, Florida, cracking down on 2 meth distributors when an alligator gets a taste of the product and kills one of the officers, Officer Farmer. So, first impression, I had like really, really low expectations about the CGI of the alligator. So
Yeah.
when I saw that it actually looked kind of like an alligator and almost fit in with the green screen, I was a little bit impressed. Was anyone else impressed?
Right? Yeah, it didn't look quite as bad as I thought it would. I feel like several years ago, before like the Asylum production company was known for just like being bad, they
Yeah.
were actually bad. Like they were actually making just horrible movies. And then they got like some acclaim for being funny and everything. And then more people started watching and giving them money. So now they can actually make something that's, a little above average of what they used to do.
Right. Not quite sci-fi made for TV.
Yeah.
But definitely better than Shudder. Yeah. So, we have the origin story. The alligator, he bites into that bag of meth. I mean, I think everyone in this movie has a bag of meth on them at any time.
Yeah, right.
As we'll see. So, and then you see him just start going crazy, like, oh, I love meth. I love eating people and I like meth. And so that starts the movie.
You really feel like if they're trying to kind of like rip off Jaws, it'll be like a slow burn, like no one really sees it until closer to the end, but they get right into the Meth Gator. Like the whole movie is just the Meth Gator constantly killing people and no one can stop him.
Yeah. And it feels like the next scene is like the tail of the Meth Gator is out. Like everyone knows about it.
Right.
But not like they're afraid. It's just like, oh yeah, we have a Meth Gator.
Right.
Cool.
Also the fact that the gator is like huge. Like it's already like way bigger than a normal alligator and it's on meth. And they keep saying that like 100 times. And as we'll see in the movie, no one can kill it because they keep going out with like normal pistols and rifles.
Right.
And they're all surprised that they can't kill it. Like,
Yeah, how
you
is it
know that it's like
bulletproof?
a monster alligator. Like, this shouldn't be surprising.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
oh my
My
god.
my question is, how is this thing bulletproof? Like what?
Right.
That's what we're gonna get into. Is every time they mention that there's an alligator loose, like they add one like fact, like it's taking meth, and it's bulletproof, and it's getting larger, and it can fly. It's like they
It
keep
can climb
loading.
everything.
Yes, they keep loading like one fact to the alligator
Yeah,
because anyone. Yeah.
my favorite gator power was the fact that it could smell meth underwater. Like there was a bit where it was like swimming and it like sniffed, like it it like made like its nose like move and it was smelling meth while it was swimming underwater. I was like, how is that possible? Like what?
Like are alligators known for like amazing scent? Is
Sure,
that
but
like
you can't smell things underwater.
tell that to a fish? Um, right.
Right, but they're not like sharks can detect blood in the water, but they don't smell it.
Mm. Yeah,
It's not like a sense of smell that involves like like scent, like with
right.
air and stuff. Like you can't you can't do that underwater.
I mean, that just shows you the addictive power of meth. That you
Yeah.
can actually smell it underwater when you're that addicted.
It's a cautionary tale.
That meth gives you superpowers.
Yeah.
Right. I think this movie accidentally praises meth by accident, and we'll get into that a little later. The next scene has Pops and Dante, which we
Pops.
learn Dante was adopted by Pops. And I
Eh,
think everyone in this
Yeah?
movie who's young gets adopted.
I
Yeah.
know. Because the girl is adopted too.
Yeah, like anyone who just like looks a little bit different, maybe they couldn't get the ethnicities right. They couldn't, so they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're adopted."
Yeah. The when we find out more about the girl's is it Anna? Is it her name? I forgot
Yeah,
her name. I love her tragic backstory. Is that this is a direct quote from the movie? I lost my dad to meth. Like that's and
I
like that's
mean,
her
yeah,
primary motivation.
there has to be a reason she gets into the fight, and so
Yeah, she lost
Right.
her dad to meth.
yeah.
Not
But
meth addiction, not using meth. She lost him to meth.
Matt took a gun and shot her dad.
It's it's so questionable.
Yeah,
But yeah, I loved the relationship between Pops and Dante because it it felt like they were strangers and like like I don't know. I just wasn't getting any paternal warmth.
right. Which is a
Yeah, it's
problem
like, why
among.
even write them as like father and son, like if they're not going to have any of that chemistry going on.
It's pre-installed character development.
Yeah.
Um, so everyone comes in and they know about Meth Gator. Dante, who
Mm,
came over from his DEA job, sheriff knows
right.
about it. I mean, it's just a fun fact. And these
There's a
act-
great scene where they're in the car together, and Pops tells him he swallowed a big bag of meth, a big duffel bag. And then, like, the next sentence, he goes, a big bag. And it's like, yeah, like, duffel bags are big. We know that. And then, literally, like, 3 sentences later, Dante goes, didn't you say he ate a duffel bag? Like, yes, you established this, like, 3 times.
Yeah, that car ride scene lasted forever. It like not only did that car ride last forever, but every time one of the characters spoke, it like cut to them. So
Right.
it was like an 8-minute scene of like 24 cuts of just going back and forth. And I was like getting whiplash.
right,
The editing this movie, I can't. We can talk about it at some point, but the
right.
editing of this movie gave me a headache.
Yeah. Well, what I love is probably like that scene went much longer. They had to cut stuff off. And he's, the scene where they're like, well, how many inches was the duffel bag? What kind of
What color
zipper?
was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Double stitched?
What
Did he
brand was
chew
it?
it
Yeah,
before he
exactly.
swallowed?
Hey, if it's LLB and there's a lifetime warranty.
So then we have the relationship between Dante and Anna. Of course, they had to be former lovers. And these people are so polite and cordial. Like,
Yeah.
like two young adults meeting at like a church group meetup. It either suggests that they like ended it on super good terms, or no one knows how to establish like a strong like X story.
Because they built
Right.
it up like they had some, like issues. Like that was why,
Right.
they weren't seeing each other. And then when they meet, they're like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" Like there's no awkwardness, nothing to talk about. They're just like immediately like clicking and on board again.
Yeah. Like Anna's like, "Oh, do you want a drink?"
Yeah.
It's just like, "Oh, you're so polite."
I love the bar, what's it called?
The
Grady's
little
Cafe
clubhouse.
and
Yeah,
Inn.
yeah, yeah.
Because it's literally just someone's like screened in porch that they just like put some swamp decorations around, but like there's nothing that indicates it's an actual like
Right.
business.
Right. It's just it's Grady's bar. I mean,
Yeah.
and can
Actually,
we
there's a sign outside
yeah,
like that they keep showing that says Grady's Cafe and Inn, but
but
there's a
they're not
shot where they
in.
show, like the whole building and it
Yeah.
says Lone Star Cafe. So they just put like the extra sign there. Just yeah, it's Grady's, but it says Lone Star Cafe on the
Right.
side.
So Grady is Anna's dad, and every time
Adopted.
Grady um yeah, every time Grady shows up, you're like, we need to be talking about the drug he's on.
Yeah.
Grady made a very strong choice for his character. Like, it's like Tourette's. It's like I don't know, seizures, swatting at invisible elves. I'm not sure what Grady was doing.
Definitely undiagnosed adult ADHD.
Like Grady, like I just I don't know his motivation. Like severely harmed by Vietnam. There has to be something in there.
He definitely
He
makes an impression on the screen.
Yes, but
right.
I think
I
like he wins best actor like on that choice
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
just the amount of weapons that this man has.
Yes.
Uh but my thing with him was he couldn't have been like more than 8 years older than the other actors.
Right?
Right? Like I know I was like, what? There's no way. Like everybody was like in their 30s.
Right, right. And when he was 18, he adopted a 12-year-old. I mean, what more do you need to know?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Like like if Pops was like, I'm 38, I would have been like, yeah, probably.
I really liked because when they come into the bar, the mayor is like announcing to like people in the room and he's like, we're gonna have great festivities because it's Jaws, right? So they're just like advertising Memorial Day,
Right.
party. And there's like 4 people in the bar
Yeah, yeah.
talking super loud and like half of them aren't even acknowledging him. And he's like, yep, come on down. And there's like 5 people.
Yeah.
Also, the background music they have playing in the bar is like piano music. It's like lounge, like fancy restaurant music, which did not match the vibe at all.
Right. Well, those Sweetwater citizens love their
Oh yeah.
There's
ragtime
smooth
jazz.
jazz.
Also, the
Crazy.
mayor, because I didn't expect to recognize any actors in this movie, but the mayor is played by when he was a kid, he was on Little House on the Prairie as Andy
Oh,
Garvey, which I watched that show a lot growing up. So I was like, oh, there's Andy Garvey as the evil mayor.
right. Mayor, a complete trope of we're gonna stay open. I don't care how much
Yep.
meth was in that gator. You know. Right. And they keep trying to pin like some secret evil that the mayor's doing. Like, but he would like do normal things. Like, and they'd make a big deal out of it. Like, I hired my own hunters to get the You hired your own hunters?
Right.
Like that's good. That's responsible. You shouldn't That's not a
Right.
conspiracy.
Right.
He wasn't being shady. He was
Yeah.
being very upfront.
The movie tries to make him shady, but they don't remember like what he's shady about.
Right.
Right.
He didn't do anything illegal.
Well, I wonder where he gets his bag of meth when he's trying to capture the alligator, but we'll talk about that later. I
Yeah,
think
he
it's a
he did. He had a lot of meth.
I think that's like the welcome package. Like, welcome to Sweetwater. Here's your bag of meth. You know, keep it away from the alligators. They tend to get a little rambunctious. Um, yeah. And I mean, that's what I love. People talk so flippantly about meth. They're like, oh, we have a meth house in Sweetwater. Oh,
Oh
someone got
yeah.
meth again.
Happens.
If it's that common in your tiny town, is your police force really doing their job? Like,
Right. I mean, and like, yeah, the two cops that live in this, are just like searching a whole island for meth, which everyone has in this town.
yeah.
Yeah. So we see these two hunters, which are automatically going to be gator bait. And this movie does this great thing where you see the alligator, and then it goes off screen, and you see someone's reaction to him eating someone, and then it goes back, and you see blood all over the alligator's mouth. And,
Yeah.
And so, but then like I understand why, because later the alligator is going to have vacuum powers. Like, and we'll talk about that later too. So the gator kills off those hunters. Next, we meet Bithlow, who gets his drone.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be Bader Gate. Like, he just seemed
Right.
like the kind of guy you kill off. But Bithlow only gets his drone eaten by the flying alligator.
Not a euphemism.
Yeah, he's got like a 30-foot vertical and has like a 3-second hang time.
Yeah. How and why was the gator going after the drone?
Meth makes you do weird things.
Meth makes you really hate drones. It's a little known side effect.
Yes. So yeah, we know the alligator, he's a big deal. Next we see Dante sitting on a couch explaining meth, what it does, using words that I am very sure he went on Wikipedia right before the script. They're like, you need to find some words on Wikipedia about meth. Because he's like, that the alligator lost his tooth. That means he has blah, 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 which happens to 2 out of 3 people who take meth. Thank you, Dante.
He's the human computer.
Yeah. And like Dante, like the movie tries to reconcile the fact that it makes no sense. Because he kept saying, yeah, meth should have killed him. Meth kills animals. But this one time, this gator's getting more bulletproof. Yeah, so it's like the movie is like aware that's like, yeah, we wrote ourselves into a hole.
Yeah.
We need to make one exception for this super gator. So my next scene is favorite. It wins line of the year. So you have a bunch of beautiful and hunky meth sellers, and they get eaten by the gator. So they're in this beautiful, I don't know, condo. We'll call it a condo. Like these gorgeous OnlyFans models and like pro wrestler bod type men, and they're supposed to be these like underground meth sellers, and the gator shows up, like literally sucks up a guy like Kirby, like like vacuums him into his mouth. You don't even see the gator chew.
Right.
It's like whoop, and you're like, oh man, this has gone too far. Meth, what have you done? But this movie accidentally is like I was watching these beautiful tanned, wonderful complexion people. I'm like, this is what meth does to humans? Man, is this movie pro meth?
Yeah, it makes you very healthy and attractive and rich.
Right. Like, these people are beautiful. I mean, maybe there's something to this meth.
You have to do it just right.
Yeah. I mean, keep it away from gators, of course, but take it yourself.
I
Or
also liked how the gator was just like sneaking up on them, even
right.
though he's really huge and visible above water, and they keep
Yeah.
like getting surprised by him. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Gators not known for stealth.
Yeah.
Hmm. So yeah, these beautiful meth sellers are the next and everyone in this movie who's evil has a duffel bag of meth that they really, really need to get from point A to point B. If one thing, this movie is TV-14, so they can't actually show what meth does or talk about any of its negative parts, but using it as like a relay baton where you have to get it from point A to point B before the gator gets it is like the main attraction of this meth.
Meth is a huge MacGuffin in this movie.
Right. You either have it or you need it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Well, what also was interesting is they don't really even take a moral stance on the meth. Like usually, right? Like Jason Voorhees, he's killing these teenagers because they're having premarital sex or whatever, right? Like they're taking a moral stance on it, right?
Right.
You do a
Yeah.
bad thing, you get murdered. This one is like meth. It's not really bad or good. It's just
It's like
Gator
collecting
eats it.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Gator just eats it. And he only eats people that have the meth. So it's
Right.
not like, and you know, with a couple of exceptions, but it's like they don't really. There's not really like you're bad or good. It's just if you have the meth, you're gonna get eaten.
Right. So maybe the gator is the moral compass. I
I
don't
don't.
know.
Maybe why does he eat pops?
Yes.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Spoilers.
So once again, we see Dante still on a couch talking to his ex-girlfriend who he's at incredibly good terms with. And he keeps talking about how this, in case you didn't know, the gator is getting too addicted to meth. Oh, one more thing. Line of the movie is that these meth dealers, he's like, you can't go out on the boat. There's a gator that's, they're closing the beach because there's a gator that's hocked up on meth. And the guy literally says, that's just what they tell you because they don't want you on the water. I'm like, that's a common excuse?
Right? I was like, what kind of like conspiracy, like common conspiracy phrase is that? Like, what do they get out of that?
It's like, oh, typical lifeguards. Oh, there's a meth addicted gator. Right, buddy.
I don't know. You live in Florida. That becomes commonplace.
Probably.
I'm gonna try it at a community pool. Sorry, pool's closed. Meth addicted gator.
I also want to point out really quick that the scene before the meth dealers get eaten is all the main characters at the bar, and they're like, all right, we're going to go get this gator and kill it. And they all leave. They all leave the bar to go get their stuff done. And then
Right.
it cuts to the meth dealers getting eaten. And then it cuts back to them, and they're sitting in the bar talking about how they're going to get the gator. Like, they're just back where they started. Like, they didn't go anywhere.
Because they're all talk.
Yeah.
They only wanted you to think they could do it.
Let them know your next move.
Right. So apparently there's different meth houses around the small island. And there's a small meth house, and then there's a super meth house. And somewhere in this scene, Dante pops They're talking, and there's an explosion that happens in the background. And everyone's like, oh, we got to check on that. And then it cuts to, like, I don't know, the alligator eating someone that's not even related to the explosion. And then it cuts back to the police, and they're like, man, that was a crazy explosion. Like, they couldn't afford to show it. They're like, trust us, there's an explosion. All right?
I mean, it's an asylum movie, so if they showed us a really bad looking digital explosion, we would still accept it. Like, they're in
Right.
no obligation to have it look great.
Right. I mean, how hard is it to take a room and just kind of like ruffle up some of the
Right?
pieces? um, so yeah, I love the fact that like we have to tell you that a building exploded because of something the gator did, but we're not going to show you or tell you why that's important.
Right.
Yeah. So back to
And
the mayor.
yeah.
He refuses to shut down the beaches, as the old cliche goes. He's like, you know, we got to have this wonderful, like, people from all over are going to come to Sweetwater and go fishing and listen to our youth group play a marching band song and maybe that 2-car parade that they promised.
They
Like,
were walking like on the sidewalk, like in the
well, I
park. It
know.
wasn't even like on the street or anything.
Yeah, this was like a big deal. I'm sure they weren't even, I didn't even think some of them were wearing the same uniform. Like, so this mayor, he loves it. And then Pops is like, there's something you're not telling us. You're in on something. You know, are you on the take? And like the mayor just kind of, he's like, you know, this is a strange town where sometimes you got to sell meth. Sometimes you got to sell fish. And and so you think that the mayor is like, you know, he made a deal with the alligator. I'll give you the meth. You know, you just
Right.
make sure I don't close this beach down. Um, but then later, it cuts back to the mayor. He's getting drunk because he's sad. So sad that a meth gator could potentially shut down his parade, even though he's decided he doesn't want that. And he goes into his trunk, pulls out an automatic weapon and a bag of meth.
Isn't that's like towards the end of the movie?
Right. Well,
We
yeah.
all
I
have
mean,
that in our trunk, right? Like we all have like an automatic weapon and meth in our trunk. Or is
right.
that just me? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
I just love the fact that there's just like hand wave. Yes, I have meth. Duh. I'm a mayor. I need to be prepared for these things. So we cut to Dante, Pops, and Bithlow and Anna getting an RPG from Grady, who could be on bath salts. We're still checking into it. So that's Grady's big shtick, is that he's like, I'm crazy, and I have a nervous tick, and I have RPGs and demilitarized weapons.
I feel like we skipped a couple really important scenes, Mike.
Oh,
Did we
please.
didn't talk about the two hillbillies that just get wrecked for no reason, right? They get sent out, right?
Right.
And that was one of my favorite scenes. And then we didn't even talk about the
The
slap fight.
slapping contest.
Oh, okay. I have that a little bit later. And yeah, so if I'm talking out of turn. It just, these scenes all feel very similar.
Because they are.
We're either talking about the gator and what meth is doing to him currently, or
Right.
the meth is killing someone who's just trying to find him.
Right. Well, I definitely want to hone in on this this slap fight because it has maybe my favorite line in the whole movie. The one dude's like, "You're way in over your head, new guy. Luckily, I'm gonna slap it off you." I'm like, "Wait, what?
Oh, I mean, that sounded so tough.
What does
Like,
that even mean?"
well, I mean, they're trying to show that there's like this underground,
Slap
like,
fighting.
gang that does
Yeah.
like these illegal slap fights.
Because when I think
And
of drug dealers, I think of slap fighting.
right, I mean, I think that's the cool, like that's the 2020s of, arm wrestling. The new thing is slap fighting.
Yeah. If
So
they
this
really
movie's
go for the
trying to be
top, they'd
relevant.
just be slapping people.
Yeah.
Also, when I was watching that, it was like storming and raining. And so I like looked out the window for like a minute to like see how bad the rain was. And I looked back and they're just slapping each other like it's professional slapping. And I was like, what happened? What did I miss? Why are we here?
So
Well,
what I love is like these movies, they can't get like extras to fit the part. So you
Right.
have these like 30, 40 something moms with glasses going
yeah,
like, yeah, slap fight, underground meth.
so great.
I'm like, oh, this is the gang I want.
Well, and going back to the editing, that scene takes place at night, right? So they're
Mhm.
there, and then they're like, Dante's like, "I'll give you $5,000, to take us to your super lab." And eventually they agree, and they're like, "Okay, like we won't go in the morning. We'll go right now." And they're like, "Okay, yeah, well, let's go to the super lab right now." And it cuts to like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and then immediately in the next scene, it goes from like 8:30 at night to like 11 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're like, "Wait, what?" I
Like
thought they were
that's
going
the
at night.
worst $5,000 you could ever spend, dude.
They it took them like 14 hours to move a mile down the road.
Right, right. So this guy, what's his name? Buck. They're trying
Yeah.
to find the super lab because
Oh, wait.
obviously,
I forgot one more thing. The reason
yeah.
that Dante wins the slap fight is because he has a metal jaw.
Yeah, they
Oh, yeah.
mentioned that. Is that
Yeah,
true or was he being figurative? I didn't
I
know.
don't.
It
I
never comes back.
the way that he delivered it, I thought he was serious.
Right. I mean, I was like, okay, that's cool. But the slat, like all this time, the gator eating people has not
Yeah,
moved me to like anxiety or like, oh no. But
right.
this slap fight, I was legit worried for Dante. Like it had so much suspense and build up that this movie should have been called Meth Slapper. Um,
We'll workshop it. We'll workshop it.
right. It's just like I was feeling like, why don't I feel this about the alligator? But this slapping competition has me clearly worried.
Well, I think it's because everything else was just clearly the will of nature, right? Like that
Right.
just makes sense. Hakuna Matata,
Yeah.
but slapboxing, that's real triumph of the human will, man.
Yeah. It's so
Right.
out of left field that you have to be invested.
Right. And so, yeah, so Dante pays $5,000 to Tucker to find, his name's Tucker. Okay. To find the meth lab that night. And then it cuts to daytime, which makes me think it's like a 40-mile journey through a swamp.
Yeah, they did on foot.
Yes. So I'm glad they didn't wait till next morning. I mean, they'd eat up the whole weekend. Um, so Tucker gets Dante and Bithlow stuck on a zip line.
Yeah, how does
He,
that happen?
he cancels out the gravity of the zip line in order to trap them and to kill them because he's like, oh, I'm not going to tell you where the super lab is. And so they're on a zip line, what, like 100 feet in the air, right?
Probably
Maybe.
less.
Yeah.
It's
But
pretty high up.
I mean,
still,
they
like,
survive a drop from it, so it can't be
Yeah,
that high.
right.
they just unstrap themselves and hit the ground and immediately get up and they're fine.
Right. So, okay, 40 feet in the air. But, Meth Gator comes out and stops Tucker from killing them by doing this 40-foot vertical leap and just
Yeah.
swallowing the guy whole.
Of all the meth abilities, that one makes the most sense. At least to me, right? Like the ability to smell underwater, no. The ability to do crazy like physical feats, I've seen people on meth do that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's where they got the Wikipedia article correct.
Right.
All right. So, uh, the evil zipline trick. Heroes always falling for it. Go down the zipline. Oops, I hit brakes on your zipline. Now I'm gonna kill you. When it cut to Bithlo and Dante like struggling on the zipline, you could tell they're standing on ground.
Yeah.
They're definitely standing on ground, pretending to hang. Like
They're like 10 feet off the ground.
so, there's not method zipline acting right there. Yeah. So, Dante, everyone finds the super meth lab. There's like a hidden door in the ground. Super meth lab looks like a small basement that has pottery kind of shoved off into the corner.
But he goes, it's like a football stadium.
It's like a hallway, right? Trust me,
Insane.
there's so much meth machines in here. We can't show you it.
Right.
Also, someone mentions later that they should just leave the gator in there and then just lock the door and throw away the key, which is
Makes too much
absolutely
sense.
insane because if it eats more meth, it's just going to be strong enough to break out. Like, why would you even say that?
So the whole goal was to keep Meth Gator away from it, and they failed.
Right.
And how did they know that they were going to need the RPG at this super play? Did they always take it with them? I mean,
No,
I guess that's pretty smart.
I think they were like, oh, we need something strong to hurt it.
Right. So Meth Gator attacks. He's like 10 times bigger. You know, he attacks. Dante fires an RPG, rocket-propelled grenade, indoors, which kills everyone.
Right.
You can't fire them indoors. But he gets a lot of meth all over his clothes.
Why doesn't he start getting superpowers?
Right. Like,
right.
He definitely has a liter of meth in his system.
Like he looked like that that bit that what's his name? A comedian did. He was like get back to me. Continue.
Right. Okay. So they shoot a rocket at the gator. They see him lying down dead. And they're like, we did it. We killed it. You know, turn the parade back on. You know, everything needs to go back to normal as it was. And Bithlo returns. And the alligator dissolves. Like cotton candy. He dissolves. And he's like, oh no, it's shedding its skin. Can alligators shed an exact replica of themselves?
I've never heard of that.
That was so crazy.
Again, another superpower. I was thinking of Dave Chappelle doing his famous Tyrone Biggums bit.
Oh my gosh.
That's what he looks like.
He definitely wrote this movie. So I'm led to believe that this rocket got the gator and he blasted out of his first layer of skin. While the first layer of skin was perfectly intact in the shape of an alligator, so much that it convinced those guys that it was dead.
Yeah, right. Why didn't they go check the body?
Right.
Right, and dispose of it.
Right.
Like, everyone's like, yep, that's it. Yep, we won.
My first order of business would be to set that thing on fire.
Right.
Right.
Like, burn and salt it. Like, I've seen enough, TV and movies to know if you want to get rid of a monster, you burn and salt the body.
Yeah, cut it up in pieces, then burn it, and then bury the ashes.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, when they're planning to go, like, get the gator, Pops mentions that they have a lot of meth from past raids to use for bait.
Yes.
Which, like, I'm not familiar with law enforcement, but I feel like if you have that much meth still stored away, like, why didn't you get rid of it? Like, why are you hanging on to it? It's for the mayor.
Right, the mayor. Mayor likes to rent out meth.
Yeah.
It's a tough job. Yeah, so they totally are fooled by like a shedding, which means like that the gator got like blasted out of the house like miles away so it could escape. Like that's some Tom and Jerry type physics right there. So finally, they're having this parade. Someone's youth group is playing in it. There's like 5 people in Sweetwater, like
Yeah.
enjoying this. They do have some B-roll footage of like of of some place in Florida that looks like very professionally done. Like they pop that in, and I'm like, okay, someone has a subscription to Storyblocks,
Right.
because you'll see what they actually use versus like this helicopter footage, or like they'll have a vista footage of like, this is what our beautiful town looks like, and
Right.
and you'd be like, okay, you would need a helicopter to take that shot. Do you think these people have a helicopter for their to get this sweeping shot of the Florida?
Yeah, so much B-roll of just the same the same landscape.
I
Right.
just searched up stock footage of pretty beach seaside town.
Do you think that's where most of the budget went to? Because that B-roll can be expensive.
Probably.
It's probably just B-Flow's it was his drone footage.
Oh, that could be right. You know, they went to Sharper Image, got a drone, and that's how they got that beautiful shot. So, Meth Gator attacks a parade. Pops, in his wisdom, gets cornered by the gator. Everyone thinks that they can shoot it. They even talk about like, oh, you have to get it in this special part. This is what hurts it. But then they kind of drop that storyline. And so you just have Pops like popping off a whole clip, and then Meth Gator gets him. And then finally Dante, Anna, Grady, they're like, Bithlow, we're going to get him. This time, we're going to get him. I mean, he's already found the super lab. But darn it, you know, this time it's personal. All right. So, final scene. Meth Gator's just kind of swimming around in the swamps. Anna and Grady. I love Grady. There's a scene before that where he forgets the name of one of the people in the town mid sentence. A strong character choice that he gave his character, like a memory problem, like Alzheimer's. Love Grady and his choices. So
Best
Anna and
character.
Grady, they're having this like father-daughter moment. You know, Anna used to be an ex-police officer, but she went to a bar to help Grady. That was her backstory. And so they grab like the fireworks gun, you know, the thing that you push a button and it shoots out 50 fireworks, right? And, you know, Anna's like, oh, I can't do it, Dad. I can't do it. You can do it, Anna. You can do it. Of course you can, because Grady's like holding most of the fireworks.
Mm.
Right.
He's aiming for you, first of all. He's probably the guy who pushes the button. I'm not really sure, Anna, what you're having trouble with.
Also, before they go out, when it's like attacking the parade, they're all like panicking, and they're on the radio like, "Call for backup! Call for the National Guard! Get anybody you can!" And I'm like, I feel like at this point, you know, it's killed multiple people. Like 2 sets of, like, you know, hunters have gone out and been killed. I feel like you should have called for backup a little bit sooner. It's been a couple days now. Like,
Right.
this thing has just been roaming around murdering people, and you're just now like, maybe we should call for, like, you know, some harder backup.
Well, plan A was like, oh, my son. He's in the DEA. That's all we need.
It's a family affair.
Yeah. And of course, Well, I mean, one of the small scenes, like they justified why no one's calling anyone is because one of the meth guys sellers, he went on a radio tower and like the dinosaur, or not the dinosaur, it might as well be. The gator climbs up the radio tower and eats him and then breaks the radio tower. So,
Yeah.
they'll mention, "Oh, we have no phones. No phones." You know. And you have Bithlow on the walkie-talkie being like, "We just shot off his sheddings. It was just his sheddings. He's still alive."
I also like how in that scene, Pops just doesn't have a radio anywhere near him.
Right.
Like, I feel like you should keep that on you if you're the sheriff. Like, why are you parted with your radio for that long?
Yeah, they're showing like fire engines going off and people's like
Yeah.
someone's flute being extra loud as to justify why he can't hear it. So you have this beautiful moment between Anna and Grady. They hit the button. Well, okay, so Dante lures him out with his shirt, which was covered in meth, and as the gator does like a 40-foot flying leap across, they fire every firework into this beast, and then it's raining gator chunks, like the Jaws scene at the end of Jaws, where pieces of Jaws are just falling down the ocean. So a really nice touch.
It's truly cinema.
Right. And the part that just confuses me is the fact that Dante was like in range of the explosion. He was like what, 3 feet away before they fired it. They fired it.
Yeah.
And what's his side effect is he fell into the water and it kind of like dazed him. Like, I love that. I love like the gator who's bulletproof. He explodes, meat chunks flying everywhere. But the very unmeth powered DEA officer next to the gator, he just slips and falls into the water. Right. So Meth Gator, he gets justice. He gets Dante. He's given CPR. He does that iconic spitting out water and coughing. It would be funny if he spit out a firework and be like, "You missed one." So then they all go back to the couch. Anna presents Dante with a hat and says, "Well, now you have to leave." And he's like, "I think I might stay around a little bit." She gives him the hat. They kiss. Grady and Bithlow are kind of giving like side eye to them while they're doing it.
Yeah,
well, one
it's
of them, I
kinda
think
weird.
Grady like nudges Bithlow to like get him to look. They're like, "Oh, look at that!" But they're like 2 feet away. Like how like there's no
Yeah.
nudging. Like just
They're-
look right there. It's
They're like,
happening.
"Hey, look what my daughter's doing to that guy."
So weird.
Like Grady, awesome choice. Amazing character choice. So as credits roll, and we have our movie. Hooray!
Hey, 4-minute standing ovation at con.
Asylum movie of the year.
Yes.
All right, so my homework assignment for you guys is compare this movie to what we have coming out today. Like, where does this movie fit next to Beetlejuice, Terrifier 3, Venom 3, Longlegs, any of the movies that came out today?
I didn't really care for Beetlejuice. I don't really care for Tim Burton. So I'm gonna say it's definitely better than Beetlejuice by a long shot.
More credible.
I was certainly, yeah. I haven't seen any of those others. I did watch the first Terrifier the other day on Halloween, actually. So I'll make my way there eventually. But it was definitely better than any Tim Burton movie I've ever seen, for sure.
All right.
Except Ed Wood. That one gets a pass.
Edward Scissorhands?
I don't know. I have problems with Ed Wood, man. I need to unpack it in therapy, maybe.
So you're talking about Ed Wood, the director that Mystery Science Theater.
Well, Tim Burton made a movie about Ed Wood. It's actually like a really good movie.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't. I don't know. I have Beetlejuice problems. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. You have Michael Keaton problems.
Yes,
We've all been
definitely.
there.
Definitely.
Yeah. You know, I have to give the movie credit where credit is due. The story is coherent. Like, everything that you need to know, they have no problem just telling you in plain, non-garbled ways. And I have
Right.
to say that I can't say that about Venom 3, but I can say that about Meth Gator.
Yeah.
So I have to give it to Meth Gator.
It knows what it's trying to do, so it just does it.
Right. And all the pieces fall into place.
Yeah.
Adam,
Also, the little Tubi description says
Mhm.
something about like authorities discourage people from flushing meth for the alligator. It's like no one flushed meth in this movie. I don't think like, they were just throwing it in the water. They were just dropping it everywhere.
Right. The alligator was literally biting it out of people's bodies.
Yeah, it was pursuing the meth.
Right. And it made you think that that was going to be the premise of the movie.
Right.
It was like a misdirect. Just like how we want you to think the mayor's doing something evil, and the surprise is he's not. He's just a regular mayor.
He just has meth in his trunk.
Yeah, he's just minor offense, meth in the trunk.
Yeah.
So, Adam, what do you think this movie goes like fits in with today's wide
Yes.
releases?
Please tell us.
I'm on the opposite side of the fence of you guys. I think it was worse than anything that's come out. It was, I don't know. I had issues with the editing and the acting and the writing and the plot just didn't make sense enough, and it wasn't like goofy enough for me to be like, yeah, this is fun. It just kind of felt like, I don't know, it just felt like somebody had like an idea. They're like, I got a couple of $1 million. I guess we could make this movie. And like, and like at the core of it, like it was, at least on Tubi, it was supposed to be like a horror movie, but it wasn't like scary.
You're right.
And
Right.
it wasn't like Jaws where you could see the violence. It was like all off screen and like almost like comical.
There
I
was
don't
no
know.
tension or terror.
It's
Sure. Like with Long Legs, there's like a real like hauntingness to it. There's like a darkness in that movie.
right.
Nick Cage, brilliant.
I really want to watch that.
It's really good.
Good.
But there's like a real suspense to it, and like you're like, oh yeah, like the bad guy in this is a bad guy. That's when you're just like, oh, silly Meth Gator. Like you're you know what I mean?
At one point, Dante legit sounds concerned that like Meth Gator is throwing his life away. He's like, that Meth is throwing his life away. He's telling his family not to call him anymore. Like he just seems so concerned that like Meth was destroying this Gator's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that there's a reason that this didn't get a wide theatrical release. you know, I I think I think it's perfect for Tubi. I also will say that I think the runtime on it was perfect, right? It didn't overstay its welcome. The worst thing that movie could have been was 2 hours long. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like if there was like another half an hour, I would have been done. I was like, all right. that's quite enough.
It's the same movie, but Christopher Nolan directed it, so it's like 3 hours.
but it for what it was, like it's great. I love it for what it is. And I appreciate that it didn't try to do it didn't try to be something that it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Right. So what I'm getting is you have a normal, sane opinion of it, and then we're over here like, yeah, Meth Gator, give it the Oscars.
Yeah,
Screw
no,
Joaquin Phoenix. Give the Oscar to Grady.
yeah, no, I love that you guys enjoyed the pants off that movie.
It's a
Um
lifestyle.
Yes.
it just wasn't for me. But I will say, usually I like I'll tap out of a movie like that I'm like not super thrilled with. But I watched the whole thing and it kept me engrossed. I wanted to see the end. I will say there were a couple of things that made me scratch my head. I was like, why have Pop survived the whole movie just for him to die in the last 15 minutes? It feels like such a like there's no emotional payoff for that. It's like
Right.
the last
Dante didn't even seem that broken up about it. Like he's
Yeah,
really
he didn't even
quiet.
cry or anything. He was just like, oh, crap.
Oh, I
and
lost another foster dad. Oh crap. Yeah.
um yeah, it was. And also just the when they were trying to give him like CPR at the end of the movie too.
Mhm.
I was like, all right. Like why why
Yeah.
is this happening? Anyways, um no, it was totally ridiculous. And if you're gonna make a movie like that, I think you have to lean into that, right? Like you can't try to pretend, right, that you're making an art house film, right? You
Right.
have to fully lean into this idea that like this is silly, we're doing something funny, and we're doing this for, a laugh. And I think that's great.
Yeah. So, if you were to pitch a sequel, let's say you're
Mm.
Scorsese, and this comes on
Oof.
your desk, uh,
Well,
Meth
after
Gator 2.
Megapolis, that's a real possibility.
True, true. That's Francis Ford Coppola, and
Yeah.
he helped produce Jeepers Creepers, so I definitely get
It's
it.
it's a possibility.
Right. Yeah, so if you're
Mm.
pitching the $100 and $300 million sequel,
Mm.
um, what is this going to be about?
I love that question.
Definitely a Grady focused spinoff, I feel like.
Right.
Let's call it Meth Grady.
Meth Grady? Oh, or he's the hero.
Yeah. He's on meth and he's killing other people who are
Yeah.
distributing meth. That's the whole movie.
Right. I was thinking more of a Jaws where they talk about, Jaws's mother comes back in the sequels and gets
Yeah.
revenge. Well, maybe Meth Gator. He comes from a long line of meth addicts in his family. So his mom is like really messed up. And so
Yeah. It's a
she's twice
generational thing.
she's twice as evil. And since the first one gave Meth Gator superpowers, I think they need to go full X-Men in the sequel. It has to be telekinetic, full flight, laser
Yeah,
eyes.
laser eyes. Yeah.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm picturing an Avengers Assemble sort of situation where it's like boa constrictors, alligators, sharks. They're all in the Everglades, and this drug, this drug is getting into the Everglades, and they all just get hopped up on various things, and they just attack housewives in Miami.
Yeah.
Like
That
it's
that
gotta go. You gotta go bigger.
yes.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one, Meth Gator has to go into space.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
And like Cape Canaveral, right there in Florida.
Right. Oh my gosh.
True.
This stuff writes itself. All right. So that's amazing. Um, best actor, best actress that you think deserves the kudos for this film.
Oh, Grady, 100%.
Grady.
That's easy.
Yeah. I say Grady. Adam?
I think this. I don't even know if the character has a name, but he was just so integral to my ability to suspend my disbelief in this movie, and it was whoever was driving the airboat. He's my he's my favorite guy. He was just so nonchalant through the whole thing, no emotion, no no sense of urgency. But man, that guy can drive a boat.
Right. I think he has one line. Like, where you want to go.
When they like pull up and pick up the Anna and Devante or whatever from the parade, the way that he just like whips it up and around for them to get on and then drive away, I'm like, man, that guy's good.
Transporter 4.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I have to say, worst actress is
One of the
the
meth
character that
babes.
played Anna.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
she's pretty bad.
Yeah, she seems like someone like within your college circle, and you're like, hey, you want to shoot this TikTok video? Like, don't worry about I'll have the lines while we film. She kind of had that energy. But I looked at her IMDb, and she's in some like a little bit more professional stuff. I'm not going to say it's well known stuff, but like she definitely phoned it in for this one. if you compare it to her other movies she's been in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, she was not a shining star. um, yeah, that was tough. Also, I I think Pops could have maybe done a better job too. Like
Yeah.
it just felt like he was phoning it in. I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm going to say now next is best behind the scenes worker. I'm
Ooh.
going to say the person who did the Gator CGI did
Oh,
a
yeah.
passable job. Like,
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
not expected to do such a passable job, and I was surprised.
Some of the like movements and stuff that it was making for some reason reminded me of the animation in Lyle Lyle Crocodile. Just like the way it would like swing around and like it just looked, I don't know, it reminded me of that.
Lyle is the cousin of Meth Gator.
Yes.
That side of the family went downhill quick. Yeah.
I want to shout out the whoever was the location scout because it felt like they were they found a local high ropes course and they're like, how can we get this zip line in the movie? We gotta get it in the movie.
I love the idea that like these hardcore criminals, to get to the super meth lab, you have to go down this fun zip line.
Right. And I was like, the zip line definitely would only work in one direction, right? Like
Right.
how?
Right.
Sorry guys, you can't leave.
Also,
And apparently from what we saw, it's easy to get completely stuck, so you can't even
Right.
slide. So
Yeah,
right.
you could go backwards on the zip line. It has brakes.
Right. And if that was really like how they got to the island, how bad is the sheriff that he just didn't notice this zip line appear out of nowhere?
Leading to like the secret underground
Right.
pottery barn.
Oh my
God.
gosh. Yeah,
So
so shouts out to the location scout.
yeah.
She probably also nailed that children's marching band.
Yes. The
definitely
sidewalk
not her
parade.
cousins.
I love that.
Yeah. So finally, your final review. Is it to be disposed, to be enjoyed, or to be the greatest? Adam, you'll
I
go
would
first.
Um like I will put it on Tubi Enjoyed. I feel like I haven't experienced enough of what Tubi has to offer to say that this is the greatest Tubi offering, but I feel like this is in the conversation.
Yeah. You didn't hate it, and you found
Right.
moments of joy in it. That's great.
Yes.
All right,
Good life
Ivy.
sparks joy.
I would
Tu-
agree with that, actually.
Hmm.
I would say I enjoyed it because
Mhm.
Tubi is getting to where they have a lot of variety. Like, there's like fairly new, like high budget movies that are on there more often.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't say it's like the greatest on Tubi. There's certainly other things that I've watched on there, other cheesy movies that I think I enjoyed more, but it definitely was a lot of fun.
Right. Well,
Mm.
that's the beauty of Tubi, and that's why I love the idea of this podcast. Is because first line of Tubi has Black Hawk Down, Forrest Gump, the Joker movie, other HBO Max series, and then you go down one and it's Meth Gator.
Yes.
And anyone that can put those two things and juxtapose themselves, it's my money. I know it's free, but I pay attention to every ad because Tubi's earned it. So
Yeah, it's definitely a beautiful thing.
I also think Tubi enjoyed.
Yes.
So there you have it, folks. Meth Gator.
Meth Gator.
Mm-hmm.
Share it with your friends.
Please do.
But don't share meth
Yeah.
unless you want beautiful skin and a banging bod. Okay. Oh my
Wild.
gosh. All right. So there you have it, folks. Thank you for joining us. Please comment on your favorite podcast distributor if you think we should keep this To Be Decided segment going. Or you can join us on our RetroLogic Discord and discuss the movie, vote on the movies you want to see on Tubi, or just shoot the breeze with us. We covet every podcast rating and subscription, so please share the love. So I have been Mike.
I'm Adam.
And I have been Ivy. I cease to be Ivy now.
Yes. This is Film Logic's To Be Decided. Have a meth-tacular day.
Tubi got that flick game, straight up out of left field. Cheesy B movies, all that drama unsealed. Chilling on my couch, popcorn in the bowl. Flicks so whack, they gon' steal your soul. Low budget thrills, but the laughs top shelf. Actors giving Oscar dreams, plus their lil elf. Sci-fi monsters, rubber suits so bad. Can't help but laugh, never getting mad. Tubi's the spot for them B-movie dreams. Corny plots and them offbeat schemes. Wrestle with the worst, but enjoy the ride. Cinematic gold, never trying to hide. Alien invasion, spaceships, all janky. Hero wears cardboard, yeah, yo, that's swanky. Vampires in the daylight, no one even cares. B-movie magic in the 2B layers. Dialogue